So before we begin, I just want to say a couple things so that way everything can be clear to you. For one, this was supposed to be out before The Last of Us 2 came out, so apologies if it seems like I'm referring to it like it hasn't come out yet, because it didn't at the time of the recording. Basically this was supposed to be out beforehand, but then I procrastinated and just didn't get it out. It wasn't supposed to be out after that, but I already had edited the audio and stuff, so I was like, you know what, I may as well just finish it and just get it out. Two, the second thing is, keep in mind, this is not a review. This is just my thoughts. So these are not my final thoughts on the entire game as a whole. This is not my final thoughts on the series. This is just my thoughts initially when I finished the game. Around this time, I finished the game like a couple days ago, and I had time to kind of process some stuff. But obviously, it is what it is. I really didn't put much thought into my words, so don't attack me if some things I said maybe don't add up for you. Perhaps later, if I do an actual review, then I'll clear some things up for now. But just for now, just bear with me. Also, last thing I just want to say, there's a lot of jumbled up nonsense and thought, so I apologize if I go on a lot of tangents while I'm talking about one subject, then I move on to another subject, then I go back to that other subject that I was just talking about. I apologize. There was no format. I was just spitting on the mic, and this is the best I could do. So, anyways, with that being said, let's get right into it. Boom. Well, this isn't a Smash Talk video, isn't it? All right, let's go. 2 viewers. Let's get it. Ah ha ha. Yeah. Insert generic. Hey guys, here. Welcome back to another episode of discussion. Wow, I don't actually know what to call this series or what I'm exactly gonna call it, but real quick, I want to talk about some things, and I want to talk about specifically about a game that I've played recently and I've experienced for myself, The Last of Us. Now, if you guys don't know, for the past couple months, I've been playing The Last of Us very inconsistently over on the second channel, on my YouTube channel, BlazinBacon. If you guys want to go check that out, it's on my Let's Play channel. It's, you know, getting set to edit and whatnot. If you guys want to catch up with the series at all, if you want to see me react to a certain part, link will be in the description below to it. Go check it out if you want. However, I really quickly wanted to talk about my experience with The Last of Us and just kind of how the game is, because I felt like a lot of feelings that I have about the game I never said on the channel. Also, I just want you guys to know this is not a review in any way, shape, or form, and I just want to tell you guys kind of my thoughts, my personal feelings about the game, how I feel about everything that's occurred, and just throw my thoughts out there about the game. I want to talk about The Last of Us, and I feel like with The Last of Us 2 coming out, I really want to talk about kind of just the game as a whole and everything that's happened. Now, before we begin, I just want to say there's a couple things that I was told, or what I heard from other people who didn't like The Last of Us and did like The Last of Us. It seems the whole view of The Last of Us is either you don't like it or it's your favorite game of all time. That's kind of how I feel, and every single time someone like poses these two kind of opinions that are clashing with each other, I'm usually someone in the middle where I can understand both sides, and here I can understand both sides quite well. And honestly, it just depends if you enjoy storyline over the actual game itself. As the actual game itself, it's nothing special. You have a similar amount of the typical weapons you use: a pistol, a shotgun. I like the flamethrower they used, and I like how it was made it way easier to take out like bloaters towards the end of the game. I thought that was really good. But at the end of the day, it's just a over-the-shoulder shooter that has a certain amount of guns you can use. So not really anything crazy special about the way the game is played gameplay-wise. It's very similar to every single other shooter. And I've always wondered what made this game special. I always thought, when my friend first mentioned it to me in school, we were back in like 6th grade or something on the bus, my friend was like, "Hey, yo, you should play The Last of Us." And I was always like, okay. But the problem is, I just never had a chance to play it, and once again, I did it now, so I can now see the beauty behind it. It just depends what you enjoy out of a game and what's your favorite experience out of the game. If your experience and you like not only amazing graphics, but on top of that, a storyline that is extremely compelling and kind of sucks you into the whole world of the game, The Last of Us is definitely a top tier game, and it does that phenomenally. One thing I will praise that I didn't really touch on was the subtle hint of the sexuality sexuality of Ellie, who is, you know, she is a yeah. Now, I didn't really touch on this in my playthrough, but I think they handled this one of the best ways. A lot of media nowadays throw that whole notion of, oh hey, this person is homosexual, and they like force it in your face. But I feel like The Last of Us is one of the few examples of media nowadays, well, not nowadays, but back then, and I was very surprised they even touched on that subject back in 2013. I always thought when I first saw the trailer of Last of Us 2 that they kind of focused on that whole aspect in there, which I thought was cool. I didn't really care. It is what it is. It's her identity. It's what she identifies as, and that's perfectly fine. But the one thing I appreciate about The Last of Us is it still treats Ellie like a normal human being. She still has her issues. She still has her problems. She still has trials to overcome. Just because she's homosexual, that does not mean that she is a perfect person. And that's how I feel like a lot of media portrays these kinds of people. At the end of the day, they're people. They're not perfect. No one's perfect. No one's perfect based on your sexuality, your race, all that. It does a good job at humanizing Ellie and making it that not the focal point. However, if you want to dig deeper into it, yeah. And I think that is one of hands down the best examples of showing off a character like that in a game or movie or anything. I will say 100%. I loved Ellie as a character. I'm not gonna hold you. While we're talking about Ellie, we'll talk about Ellie. Last of Us has some very, very likable characters. I think a lot of it comes from not only the voice acting, which I have to give a lot of attention to. The people that played Ellie and Joel, and for anyone for that matter, smashed it out of the park, to be honest with you. They feel like they talk like actual people. And it's very haunting sometimes, especially around the first half of the game. Oh yeah, by the way, this whole video will have spoilers out the ass. So if you have not played Last of Us, get off of this video, please, and play it. If you have, then you can stick around. I'm sure everyone and their mother has played it. I was one of like a few people who never played it. One thing that I will say is towards the beginning of the game, when freaking Sarah died due to getting shot by that person, right? And Joel's whole emotion towards that, like the voice actor did such a phenomenal job. It was almost haunting how realistic that reaction to that goes. Usually with a death, it's kind of like, and they like scream at the top of their lungs. But with Joel, it was very somber, and I think the music fitted extremely well. I gotta hand it to the music of the game as well. While it's really that type of like immersive music that kind of divulges your brain into the story. The music isn't completely there, obviously, all the time. Usually it's just like nature sounds as you're walking and stuff. The music is really, really, really good. Really good, really good. But anyways, going back to the characters. Like I said, the voice acting was probably one of the best bits of Last of Us that I really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the voice acting, if I'm being completely honest with you. Audio visual wise, that was 100% one of the best roles in voice acting that I heard, and that makes me really excited for what Last of Us 2 brings out. I think the dynamic between the two characters, between Joel and Ellie, are very real. Once again, let's go back to Ellie, because I'm jumping all over the place, and it's gonna happen. I apologize if it does. I'm just, once again, I don't have a script or anything. I'm just pouring my thoughts out to you guys. Once again, I've already talked about Ellie and how they treated her as a character. I think they did an absolute masterful job with that. I will say she is one of the best characters. I know this is a very weird compliment to the game, but I also like how they explained why she wasn't affected by the bite. How exactly was she not affected by the bite? I still kind of want to know if there's like a special group of people that aren't affected by the bite. Maybe there'll be like a whole clan or something, like a whole group of people who have been bitten by I almost said a walker. We'll get to that in a minute. Have been bitten by a stalker or a runner or I don't know, freaking bloated. I don't even think bloated have mouths. I'll be honest with you. They're just, I don't know, they look like cancer cells. just disgusting, man. Jesus Louis. Either way though, I know it was explained of why Ellie has immunity to the bite and why she doesn't turn or anything, but I'm wondering exactly why. Why was her brain function the way it was? Like how did that work? I don't know. I realized they explained all they needed to in this one. I think they did a pretty good job with it. So I guess while we were talking about Joel as well, I think Joel. Okay, so one thing I will say, I'm not going to talk about the ending decision that Joel decided to make yet. First, I want to talk about Joel just as a character. character. I think I enjoyed Joel as a character, but I think I enjoyed him for a completely different reason than I enjoyed Ellie. I liked Ellie from the get-go. However, Joel was obviously a character that had to have character development because he did this thing where he has to come to terms with his past to have a better relationship with Ellie in general. I compared Joel and Ellie's relationship almost to, if you guys know, this is where The Walking Dead comes in. Not the show, by the way. I'm talking about the Telltale game. I think Telltale is another company that does a really good job at storytelling, and I compare Joel and Ellie sometimes to Clementine and Lee's relationship in the first game. If you really think about it, if you look at kind of how each relationship was structured, well, first let's go over similarities. So obviously these two characters meet in a specific situation. They're not related whatsoever, but they're a little girl who has an older figure to kind of lead them on a directional path. However, the difference between, I feel, Lee and Clementine's relationship was Lee and Clementine's relationship in The Walking Dead, I feel, was more of a father-daughter relationship in that regard that I felt from them than I did Joel and Ellie, because I feel like Lee, as in general, since Clementine was young and innocent, she had to learn how to do certain things to protect herself from the walkers. And I feel like, once again, Lee was how she was going to get to that point. And at the end of the day, I think Lee was an amazing father figure to Clementine at the end of the day. And then passing the torch over to Clementine to continue on the story to make her probably one of the most badass female characters in again, obviously. But I think Joel and Ellie, I think, is more of Ellie wants to be recognized by Joel as an equal. I think at the beginning of the game, Joel really is overprotective of Ellie, even though he doesn't show it, obviously. He's just this bitter old dude who couldn't escape his past. He still dreamt about it to this day and whatnot. I feel like one thing that was going on, I think a theme, once again, is acceptance of yourself and acceptance of your past so you can keep moving forward. And I think that's a lot of how the game plays, actually, is moving forward through things that happen, such as, for example, like Tess's death when she died because she got bit, and so she drove the military away and they shot her down and stuff. It is what it is there. I think Joel, once again, had to overcome that, and not only overcome that, except that he and Ellie are equals at the end of the day, which is why I guess the player, because I've heard some people talk about it, where I feel like The Walking Dead has taught me a lot, and it's taught me that no matter what, in a situation like an apocalypse situation, it does not matter whether you are a man, a woman, a freaking whatever you are. At the end of the day, it's up to you to survive on your own. And there was one point in my Let's Play where I was auditorially, I guess you could say, I don't know, but I was imposing on Joel when he didn't give Ellie the gun, when he took the gun away for her.
Got the hell out of that guy, huh?
Give her a gun, damn it. If you don't give her a gun, bro.
You just hang back like I told you to.
Why didn't you just
Well, you're
give
glad
her the
I
gun?
did, right?
He was trying to be overprotective because he doesn't want what happened to Ellie to happen to Sarah. He realized how Sarah was helpless in that situation. He did not want the same thing to happen to Ellie. So he took it upon himself to kind of be that overprotective father figure that he wanted to be. Though Ellie is a badass and she can handle herself. And it took Joel a while to realize that. When he finally realized that and gave her the gun, that was a dope moment from both of them. And I think they overall had an amazing dynamic between the two, which is why I think that Joel's actions towards the end of the game were kind of wild. But once again, I can completely understand from his perspective, because this is someone who is an equal to him. This is someone that he values as, in a way, I'm not saying in the same vein as how Sarah was to him, but he valued Ellie like a family member, damn near. So that's why he went into the forces and he freaking, well, he didn't go guns blazing, but he snuck in and took control of the situation, saved Ellie at the end of the day. And he freaking clocked Marlene as well. Mad. Maddening, and he saved her. And I think, once again, that's just, once again, Joel being Joel. Choosing to help the world, but you lose someone so close to you, is always something that a lot of people will have troubles with, and not everyone can make a decision that in an easy manner like that. Like someone you treasure, someone you think of as your own family member, would you trade them for saving the world? Which is ultimately what like a perfect person would do, but at the same time, none of us are perfect. And I think that can, once again, just be shown shown through Joel's actions at the end of the day. I enjoyed Joel as a character, mostly because of how he wasn't perfect whatsoever. At the end of the day, he still isn't perfection. I mean, he stormed into a whole ass guarded ass hotel, he defeated a bunch of fireflies, and he clocked a lot of them. He killed them to save one person. But that person is so precious to him that it was worth those lives. I guess that's kind of at the end of the day. It is what it is. That's what Joel said. He said it is what it is. I'm shooting all of y'all down. Overall, I think I had a lot of fun with it. I guess talking about individual chapters when it comes to Last of Us, I really thought one of the more memorable points was Bill's chapter where, you know, you sneak in a Bill. Fun fact, I actually didn't know Bill was gay the entire time, which once again shows that he is just a regular guy, and that's super dope. Once again, I really got a hand in Naughty Dog for that, man. No one hammers that information into it. It's cool. I like it. I like it. I really enjoyed Bill's character. I thought the kind of dickhead persona that he kind of portrayed was really cool and was a nice kind of, I guess, relief from kind of the heavy tensions that were of Ellie and Joel. Although Ellie was definitely a nice bounce back off Joel, because while Joel was always somber and angry, she was always trying to be peppy and optimistic and stuff. You know, Joel's sitting here being pessimistic, like, Ellie, we gonna die, Ellie. Ellie, I don't know, Ellie, I don't think I can take you, Ellie. Hey, Ellie, shut your mouth. We're going to Bill. I think Bill and the short relationship that it was, the relationship that it was really cool as well. A part of me kind of wishes that Bill came along with us, because I would have been really interested to see how he would have been with kind of the others. I hope he's still alive and we see him in the second game. Just saying. Or if we don't, I want a good explanation. Naughty Dog. Yeah. Now, while I think this game is really good, once again, I don't think it is game of the
decade.
I think it's up there. Once again, I can see why people are so invested in this series. But I will say there were a couple things that, now thinking about it, I wasn't really huge on. For one was the death of Tess. Now, I'm not mad or anything at how she died or the scene that she died. It was still very emotional, but I feel like she died a little too early, man. I don't know if it was just me, but obviously I was invested into her as a human character, but I wasn't invested into her as Tess, right? I was only invested into her as, hey, that's Joel's partner. I don't know, I just think Tess didn't have enough time to kind of grow out of being just Joel's own partner. I guess that also just comes with a personal opinion, and that's my personal opinion. I think that if we would have spent a little more time with Tess, I feel like it would have hit a lot harder. Maybe if she died after the Bill chapter, I don't know, but I think that would have been like more time to get to know her, especially to get to know her, because we barely know anything about her. We barely even know her relationship with Joel. Well, we probably know are they in a relationship? Were they in a relationship? I was confused about that. So that's one point that I feel like, I don't know, I just wasn't a huge fan of at the end of the day with Tess and kind of how she was handled as a character, how she died so quickly. I guess that was to establish an early relationship with just Joel and Ellie, since those were the major two characters to focus on. I get it, but I kind of wish there was a little more about Tess. Maybe we could have found some diaries of her or something. I don't know, man, just something, bro. I think Sam and Henry, for as little time as we got to know them, man, that whole thing kind of hit me like a truck. To see like Sam there when he got bit, just freaking wilding out, almost killing Ellie. It was so sad to see, man. That was definitely a somber point in the freaking chapter. I don't know, something about it, man. Pause. So real quick, I need to explain one thing, because I know this is kind of a contradictory thing. If you look at it, you're probably like, oh, so you had more emotion towards them than you did Tess. What the heck, man? It doesn't make any sense. You literally just said, I didn't get to spend much time with her, so I didn't have that much of a bond. So how'd you have a bond with other people that you spent just as little, if not less time then? Well, to answer your question, the answer is but a simple one. It was the way and execution. I feel like, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you can have your opinion, this is mine. I feel like the way that they went out was way more tragic than what Tess went through. We literally just figured out she was bitten, right? At the time where she accepted the fact that she was gonna die, she pushed Joel and Ellie to go, and then she got clocked just off screen. However, in this case, we saw the whole process of what was going on. Basically, it was the way they died, and then plus I feel like, once again, with losing your brother, and then the fact that you killed yourself afterwards, that way more, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is way more tragic than how Tess went out. Tess last one out kind of like a G, to be honest. But I feel like Sam and Henry didn't really go out like that. It was very tragic at the end of the day. So that's my whole opinion on Sam and Henry. Hopefully it's understand. If you don't understand, then dislike it and move on, all right? We're moving forward. Also, we got to see a little more of Tommy as well. Tommy being the younger brother of, I almost said Ellie. Yikes, ain't that a plot twist? Of Joel. He was the younger brother of Joel. And then see his wife there as well was pretty cool. Tess, I think, would have been a really good point of reference or something. I don't know, maybe we could have gotten DLC with like how exactly they met, and we'll talk about Left Behind in a minute, but maybe we could have gotten some kind of DLC to how they met or their adventures together or something, because throughout the time they were known as Joel and Tess were like two peas in a pod, like they were inseparable damn near. So it was really weird to kind of see that and just not see the relationship between that. That's also just one thing that's kind of like, man, I really wish we saw more of them. Marlene dying was kind of mad. I actually forgot about her existence until the whole Firefly incident. Though I think reading her journal was really good for me to care about her death, because it kind of showed kind of what she went through ever since she gave off Ellie to Joel and Tess and what exactly happened. At least giving us a tiny little peek as to what happened in between that time with the Fireflies, how they had to move from their normal base at the science lab in the college, and then they had to move to Salt Lake City, Utah. She explains her journey, how many people died, the fact that she's suffering. She even regrets giving us Ellie. I thought that was really interesting to see her perspective on the whole situation, and I really wish that was like a required thing. I really wish that wasn't like a side thing in general. I don't know. And of course, as being the black completionist, no, I'm not joking. I am the black completionist. I really wish that, in a way, the collectibles are a little easier to find. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not trying to say nothing here, but I don't know. I feel like with how impacting the story was, I feel like missing an item or something, maybe a little easier to find. But they do have like a new game plus mode, I think. I don't really know what that is exactly. If like you can go back in different worlds or something, and you can maybe go there and go back to the areas you visited, collect the stuff. But I don't know. It is what it is. Those comic books are really cool. I think that was a nice lighthearted way to balancing it out from the overall sadness that I felt every time I played the game. Other than that, though, I think all that's left to talk about in terms of that is, I guess, the DLC. So Left Behind, I really enjoyed Left Behind. I think that doing those kind of other missions with Riley was really interesting. I think Riley as a character was also really interesting as well. I really wish we had some more exposition on exactly who she was. Now, we do know, obviously, in the DLC from there, it is, confirmed that Ellie had a crush on Riley, and Riley reciprocated those feelings, which I didn't even notice because I'm an oblivious mother trucker, and I'm not really, I don't want to say I'm insensitive as much as I am just dumb. I didn't even realize that. However, I think once again, they handled the relationship between the two just like any normal couple, and I think that's dope how they handled the whole thing. That's how it should be handled. So I'm really happy that they were able to establish that relationship with them, and kind of in an hour, the fact that you were that, maybe not emotionally invested, but you were invested in the character, especially since one of them's Ellie, the other one's a newly introduced character, but because she's important to Ellie, she's important to the player. I think they did that really well. I'm not too sure about the whole side-by-side comparisons of things. I understand what they were trying to do. I thought there was a correlation between where Ellie was at in that mall, and then I thought that maybe that was the same mall that with her and Riley were in. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to kind of get that connection to the mall or something. But I mean, that's not really a huge problem. That's just honestly me nitpicking at the end of the day. I do think the parallels were there. I like the final speech by Riley of like how you got to make every second count and stuff, and not to always take the easy way out, which they very well could have done. So I think that when Joel lied to Ellie at the end, I was kind of, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, Joel. I don't know about that one. And also after this, I want to see a dart battle between Joel and Cloud for sure. Let's get that happening in the DLC. We just get Joel transported to the Final Fantasy VII universe, play some darts with Cloud real quick, It is what it is. Either way, though, I think that's all the feelings I have towards The Last of Us, and kind of how overall I felt about the franchise and how I feel about the games. I think they hit a nail on the head there with a lot of the games. I think they did a really good job at kind of portraying realistic humans better than games that are released today, honestly. That also try and do the same, that also try and do the same thing. I think this game succeeds and excels in that regard, and for that, I definitely have to give the game that. Though once again, I can understand the people who don't like the game because they feel more as they're watching a movie. But at the same time, that is a genre of games, the storytelling genre. I mean, there's games like, I mean, this is going way off the rocker, but I mean, Phoenix Wright is a visual novel, and I'm sure the people who don't like The Last of Us probably not the biggest fans of Phoenix Wright either. But other than that, at the end of the day, I think the game's really good, and I would say if you haven't played it yet, play it. But like, everyone and their mother has played it. Like, probably literally everyone's mother has played it. If I could, I would go around and ask all the mothers for reviews. Let me get their IGN scores in it, bro. Anyways, though, I think that's gonna be it for me. I just wanted to quickly just talk about my experiences with The Last of Us and kind of how I'm feeling. Just don't, like I said, just dump all my thoughts out. Thank you guys for hearing me out at the end of the day. I really enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoy this style of video as well. You know what I mean? Please like me, guys, like me. And if you guys want to see more of this kind of content, make sure to kind of leave a like. I really am interested. I will do a full-on review eventually of the game, but for now, I'll leave it there. And if you guys want to see me play Last of Us 2, I am going to be hopefully playing on my Let's Play channel. Once again, link in the description below. And with all that being said, I think that is that. I'm sorry if what I said, maybe some things didn't really make any sense. I didn't have a script for this whatsoever. I was just pouring out my feelings, man. So once again, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys like this episode and want to see what else is on the grill, you guys check out this whole playlist in the description below. And of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you guys want more of this kind of content on your plate. I do have other topics that I want to talk about, so hopefully that'll happen. All that being said, though, thank you guys for watching, and you can put your spatulas down now, but keep it sizzling, Baconators. Peace.